Yo, what's good, guys? We're back at it again with another MLB This Show 25 video for you guys, and today I'm going to be updating my must-have players in the game right now. So it's been about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks since the last video, so I want to go ahead and give you guys an updated opinion on what cards I think are worth it, which ones are not, and help you guys kind of construct your rosters based off that. So if this does help, feel free to like and subscribe. We're on the way to 10K. Would love to have you. So first card here, like unlimited budget, Mike Trout. Do I think he's worth 180K? Probably not. There's probably no card other than like collections that are worth like 180K in the game right now. But you're paying that live series tax. You see it with like Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt probably shouldn't be more than 70, 80K. He's 150. You're just paying that tax to lock in collections. But Mike Trout is as close to worth it as possible. You can see 294 with 4 home runs in 4 games. I think he started out his career on the team like 1 for 9 or something terrible like that. Went absolutely nuclear our last 2 World Series games. He's a stud. You just got to get used to the swing, and you got all you need right there. Next guy worth mentioning, Juan Soto. I think he's a little more worth it for his price tag. He doesn't play the worst left field in the world. He'll play an even better right field. It seems like he plays up about every day. Has a really high clutch, so you can't even make like an argument that he'll get worse as you go up in rank. I think he's got potentially the best lefty swing in the game. He's got a ton of good quirks, and you can see he absolutely mashes. 486 with 8 home runs. He's a stud. And then we have, I think, the best live series diamond in the game right here. Definitely for his value. He's like 110K right now. You can get him on a day where he's playing up against righties or playing up at all. Obviously, he's going to be better than this. But this Ketel Marte is the truth. 525, 8 home runs in 12 games. So the power stroke's a little lackluster there, but he's literally getting on base over half of his at-bats. It's hard to find switch hitters right now. He plays a premium shortstop, honestly, in my opinion. And he plays probably the best defensive second base in the game as well. So he's an absolute stud, super worth it. I'm not going to say Mookie. I'm not going to say even Jordan for like 50K is pretty solid because you're getting comparable hitting stats to Juan Soto, but it's just not Juan Soto. So I'm not going to include him. We've got 2 other guys I think are worth mentioning that I do not own at the moment. First one here, Flashback Devers. This card's cool. If you're a Devers fan, I know there's a ton of people that always hit really good with Devers. I'm not really one of them. So he's not my favorite card in the world. Is he worth 100K? Probably not. But for some people, he will be. Next card, get over to our Guardians over here. J-Ram. Super solid. Is he worth 130K? Probably not. I think Ketel Marte is probably a better card than him. But I mean, he's still really good, and you're kind of paying that switch hitter tax right now, where there's not a ton of great switch hitters. And if you want them, they're going to cost you a good chunk of stubs. And kind of branching off that idea, we have this collection Santander, who, in my opinion, honestly, if you're not on like Legend or GOAT, legitimately has a conversation to be better than Gil Hodges and be the best first baseman in the game. When you have his swing, his power, and you're a switch hitter, he's incredible. I've heard a lot of ranges on this collection. I've heard people say they've done it for 75K. In my head, I feel like it's probably closer to like 100, 150, somewhere in there. But it's really, up to you if you buy at low points on a lot of these cards. And if you're doing sell orders, you can probably get them for relatively cheap. And I think this is one of, if not the best first baseman in the game right there. Definitely wouldn't have him in the outfield. So that we have Outlighter, who I think is worth mentioning. He's a Blue Jays collection, so it's going to run you like 30, 35K, something like that to get him. It's a lot for a starter, but I think if you're on Hall of Fame, he's kind of a must. I think on Legend, he'll be really good, and then on GOAT, he'll be really solid, to where he's just really worth 30K, but that is a lot to be paying for a starter at this point in the game, which starts our budget cards part. So this next card, everybody knows him, everybody loves him, Trey Turner. The only thing wrong with this card is the defense, and the speed kind of makes up for a lot of it. He still will have a noodle arm at short, but if you get him on a day like today, really the only issue with this card is the clutch, and as long as you're not on Hall of Fame, or you can make 82 work on Hall of Fame for sure, as long as you're not on like Legend or GOAT, and even then his swing is so good that it really won't matter. If you can get him on a day where he's playing up today, he has no weaknesses, he's an absolute stud, especially for the 8K 9K that would cost you. So this is kind of the start of like our budget cards. Next guy worth mentioning, I've not seen one guy hit bad with this card. I have not personally used him. I haven't even used him. I've only got parallels because people bring him in threes co-op a lot. So I haven't taken a single at bat with this guy, but everybody I see use Manny Ramirez hits like 350 plus with him. He's an absolute stud. A little more of a DH, but with the way outfield defense is, you can play him out there. He won't be that much worse than a lot of other people. So he is super solid, especially for like 15K. I think he's one of the best value buys in the game for sure. Next up, we got Roman Anthony, the Pipeline collection, I want to say is what it is. So he's an absolute stud. 500, 3 home runs. The power stroke isn't really there. Honestly, this card has freaky power for like what it says. I've seen him hit balls like terribly against righties that I think should be home runs. I've seen him absolutely pimp stuff against lefties, where he has like 67 default power. So I will say the defense isn't great, but he legitimately has one of the better lefty swings I've used all year. He's an absolute stud, and he's basically free. There's no way this card costs you more than 15, 20K to go lock in right now, since all the golds in that collection are quick sell, and you don't have to go all the way. You don't have to go to Roki. I actually think going to Roki is kind of a misstep. Next card worth mentioning, Seager, is a little rough against lefties. If you can get him on a day where he's playing up against lefties more, you're looking at an absolute stud. But there is nothing wrong with this card. Haven't used him online in forever. But when you look at the clutch, he even plays up on like Hall of Fame, on Legend. You can use him because of the clutch. And then you've got like a 35K sale now for legit one of the best lefty swings in the game. Yes, he doesn't have secondaries, but you can play him at second, you can play him at third. He won't be completely brain dead. He's not going to be great in those positions, but he won't be completely brain dead, so I think he's worth mentioning. Next up, we have Noah Schultz. I noticed this with the doing team review video yesterday, where if you don't have Noah Schultz, what are you doing? He's like a budget Randy Johnson, kind of, and he's like 6K right now. For 6K, you are not finding a better pitcher in this game than Noah Schultz. Let's see. Next up, I have Matt Strahm, because a lot of the other good lefties out of the pen, you have to go grind for. You got to go grind for Franco. You have to go grind for Andrew Miller. So if you don't want to grind and you got like 2K sitting around, actually 1,200, he's gone down quite a bit. You're not going to get a better lefty out of your bullpen than Matt Strahm. Also has really high hits, really high clutch. So you'll be able to use him on those higher difficulties. And the next few cards I either don't own, or it'll be quicker to go to the binder and show you guys. Mickey Mantle, he's approaching that tier. He's like 30K for the World Series reward right now. Doesn't look the craziest on paper. You're looking at like similar defense to like Roman Anthony, but he's a switch hitter. And I've seen guys on Hall of Fame using him. I've seen guys on Legend using him. I've seen guys on GOAT using him, just because of the quirks and the swing and the fact that it's Mickey Mantle and he always kind of plays above his stats, and that's when he doesn't have the best stats in the game. So he's an absolute stud. I don't know if he's exactly worth 30K, but if he gets any lower than this, it's going to be hard to look that in the face and say it's bad value. Let's see. Next, we have another Guardian, Bazana. This card's it's the worst kept secret in the game. A lot of people absolutely love him. I'm not a huge fan of having to hit lefty-lefty with him all the time, and none of his hitting stats really stand out. But he's just a very solid second baseman, which is a position where it's hard to find value at. It's hard to find these like do-it-all players. It's like Bazana, Ketel Marte, the collection Kipnis, which I think is terrible value. And that's pretty much the list. You can see that, honestly, other than clutch, Bazana does pretty much everything as well as Jason Kipnis does it. So basically just a tactical downgrade, if you will, just a better value card, I think. Then our final one, we have another Red Sox. No surprise here. Christian Campbell, wherever he's at. Can't go wrong with this card. The clutch is pretty low, but I mean, you can definitely use 73 clutch on Hall of Fame, and that's assuming that you don't have any parallels on him yet. Similar to Bazzana, just kind of scaled back the fielding, scaled back the speed a little bit in comparison to Bazzana, and increased his hitting stats. So he's an absolute stud. I've seen a lot of people do really well with this card, and I think for 14, 15K, you're going to be hard-pressed to find better value. His teammate's worth a shout too, but just not a huge fan of this card because of the speed difference. And then Harry P. So a lot of people are going to be pretty happy with this. I don't think this is a great card by any means, and I would urge most people to probably get off of him sooner than later. But for 3K, to get a switch hitting third baseman with good clutch, good contact, and okay power with, I believe, some decent quirks. Not really. So he's a solid card. It's fine for 3K. I'm not going to tell you he's bad value. I'm actually going to tell you he's great value. But just, you know, for now, it's like patching a punctured tire. You know, you can drive on it for a little bit, but eventually you need to do something about it. So he's a good player in a vacuum like that. Grind cards. I got a couple cards that you can grind for that I think are just irreplaceable value. Max Clark, super solid card. I've seen a lot of people hit better than what I hit with this card, but he's basically a pure defensive center fielder, and as that, I don't think there's too many better ones in the game, if at all, right now. 99 speed, 91 reaction, 94 arm. That's all you really need to know. He's an absolute stud, and that's before I could put one more parallel on him and get him higher reaction. So next up, Jake Arrieta. A lot of people probably already have this card, or you may not have even known that you got him yet. He is in the XP path. I think like 150, 250,000 XP, something like that. Sounds like a lot, but a lot of people already have him. So worth mentioning there. Riley Fingers. I think this is just the most consistent reliever in the game that you can get. You bring him in, he might give up like a hit. He's usually not going to give up a run. Just because of the speed differential, makes him usable on All-Star, the fact that he's stopping out like 96, 97. And then you can work that slow fork ball to actually get strikeouts on lower difficulties. So he's pretty valuable there. And then the last card that I kind of want to talk about is Leo DeVry. So this is a free card that you can go grind for. He's a switch hitter with like 80 hitting stats across the board. Basically 80 everything other than power right. The power right isn't phenomenal, but he has a very nice swing. I've seen some people use this guy a lot higher than they probably should on like Legend, even on GOAT. There are people running around with this card, so he is a very, very good value. And you get him by knocking out that program and then running the showdown like 4 times. You can't go wrong with getting that Leo DeVry. Super solid card. So those are my must-have cards. I think a lot of these other positions you can just kind of fill in based on that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I gave you some cards that maybe weren't on your radar, or if you were on the fence about buying them, now you're all in. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Till next time. Peace.